New York Yankees have hired a new hitting coach, James Rowson, and we're going to talk to our Yankees beat writer here at the New York Post about it, Greg Joyce. Greg, how you doing, man?
Good, thanks, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and obviously the Yankees offseason, we knew it was going to be a very busy one considering the Yankees did lose Sean Casey after decided not to return as the Yankees hitting coach for the 2024 year. It's been quite a journey for this position specifically, obviously for the Yankees, when you consider they fired Dillon Lawson midseason last year, bring on Sean Casey, and then Casey decides not to come back, but now they settle on James Rosen. So what more can you say about the Yankees coming to Rosen as the candidate that they wanted to hire?
Yeah, obviously they're hoping this one sticks, a little bit more than their past hires. I think it seems like James Rosen has a good mix of some of the, you know, what people kind of describe as the old school versus new school. Obviously, he spent 7 years in the Yankees system as a minor league hitting coordinator. Earned the respect of Aaron Judge. Had some experience with him in his second stint with the Yankees. And then went and was the Twins hitting coach for 3 years, including the 2019 season when they were known as the Bomba Squad, when they had 307 home runs. That was the MLB record, but also I think hit 270 as a team. And then went to the Marlins and served as their bench coach for a few years, and then was an assistant with the Tigers last year. But I think he's someone that's always been respected within the Yankees organization. Played in the minor leagues, can relate to some of these guys. A lot of I think the Yankees liked what Dillon Lawson was teaching, especially on the minor league side when he was previously the minor league hitting coordinator, but kind of felt that his messaging communication wasn't getting through. Didn't have and that's, I think, where Sean Casey had a strength just in the couple months he was here, was able to connect with a lot of the guys, especially the veterans. So I think they were kind of looking for somebody to kind of fill both of those voids, and they're hoping that James Rosen is the guy to do that. Like I said, has that experience with Judge, which I think obviously plays a factor into it. I'm sure Judge was in his corner, if they asked him, assuming they asked him about it, which I'm sure they did. But yeah, it's a guy that has his work cut out for him. It was one of the worst offenses in the majors last year, and specifically just trying to get Giancarlo Stanton back on track, and then on the other side, getting some of these young guys that have had success in the minor leagues but haven't been able to have that translate to the majors. That's one of the other big tasks for him ahead.
Yeah, it's an excellent point by you, Greg, and that's why I wanted to follow up here a little bit about Rosen taking over. This isn't an easy position. This is a criticized position when you consider where this Yankees offense was last year, one of the worst in baseball, like you mentioned, and getting guys like Giancarlo Stanton back, as Brian Cashman says, online, and DJ LeMahieu. Can you get him to come back to that MVP type form? And the balance, the delicate balance of how do you develop these younger hitters into the majors, right? Because you have some young talent that you expect to still be on this roster, and Anthony Volpe, maybe a Peraza, Austin Wells, Oswaldo Cabrera. These are players that the Yankees might be depending on next year to be better as an offensive player. So how important is that part for Brian Cashman picking Rosen to be that hitting coach and help lead the way, especially when it comes to those younger guys? And like you said, the veterans that they're paying so much money to be high impact bats for them.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think, his Rosen's experience kind of speaks to that a little bit, right? He's done it at the major league level. He's been a hitting coach a few different spots, but then he's also spent a lot of time on the development side, as a minor league hitting coordinator. So I think they're kind of hoping he checks off both boxes where he's able to, Brian Cashman mentioned last week that some of the younger guys are more in tune with a lot of the advanced data and analytical stuff. And so maybe, a hitting coach kind of geared towards them, where they've been that they've used that stuff coming out through the minors, where some of the more veteran guys might be more about feel and kind of experience, stuff like that, and not as in tune with some of the advanced stuff. So he was kind of looking for a guy that could kind of do a little bit of both, and it seems like Rosen is a guy that has experience on both sides of minors and majors, and obviously it's a big time hire for them to try to get the offense back on track.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Greg, I know that the Yankees have been leading the headlines a little bit, specifically with Brian Cashman's fiery rant at the GM meetings last week, defending his job. And we heard Cal Steinbrenner talk about the big changes this offseason, this being one of them, a new hitting coach, obviously. But when you're looking at this Yankees team heading into next season, Greg, it seems like Cashman's got to get it right, because there really doesn't seem like there's going to be many changes coming in when you talk about the structure and the way they're running this organization right now, based off the rant and what he said last week. So when you're looking at free agent upgrades, what can the Yankees be targeting, or who could they be targeting? What positions could they look to upgrade this offseason to help improve this team?
Yeah, that's the other way to improve the offense, right? You can hire a hitting coach that you hope helps, but also you can go out and get a couple bats that are upgrades. I think the two biggest areas obviously are center field and left field. Center field, Jason Dominguez, we saw for I think it was 8 games in September. Obviously, looked like he was on his way to claiming center field, for 2024, but then had Tommy John, so he's not really going to be available to them till probably June at the earliest. So Brian Cashman, said he's got to go out and act, as if he's not going to be available for however many months it is. Center field, left field. So, you're looking, obviously the top bat on the market that's not named Shohei Ohtani is Cody Bellinger, would fit that mold in center field. Could also play, first base somewhere down the line in the contract too. So obviously he brings some value there. There's Kevin Kiermaier, supremely gifted defensive center fielder, also a left-handed bat like Bellinger. And that's the other thing too, right? They need two outfielders, but they could certainly use some left-handed bats too. So if you're able to, do both in one, one transaction there, that's big because they need some more lineup balance. Obviously, everybody talks about Juan Soto as kind of being, the white whale if he's available, if the Padres end up deciding to trade him. So that's another option there too. But he's, he has 1 year left on his contract. So then do you give up a prospect haul to get 1 year guaranteed and then try to sign him long term, versus do you go, kind of go chase Bellinger and get the whatever it's going to take, maybe 6, 7, 8 years. So, there's some options there. But so I would say obviously center field, left field is a start. And then, they always seem to try to reinforce the pitching staff. And especially if they do end up making a trade for one of the outfielders, maybe they pull from the starting pitching there. And so they may need to reinforce somebody, the rotation there. So maybe a guy like Yamamoto, that obviously is going to, a lot of teams are going to be in on him, right? We're just going to drive with the price tag too. So, and then you always have some bullpen reinforcements as well. So, obviously it starts with the outfield, but then they're always going to try to add to the pitching as well.
Greg, I know it's going to be a busy offseason. This is just one of the first of many moves I'm sure the Yankees are going to be making, but we appreciate you as always for giving us your insight, and looking forward to speaking to you again in the future, man.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan.